All right, so we're going to take a look at Dungeon Crusade Chronicle, short version of Dungeon Crusade, the variant. In this video, I'm going to go over the skill dice. Okay, so skill dice is phase 2 of the game. The first phase is the encounter phase where you would roll these encounter dice and the minion die. I made a video on that, so if you can watch that first just to kind of catch up. But that's on your turn, roll your encounter dice and your minion die. On second, which is really I wouldn't say, yeah, I'd say probably the most strategic part of the game, and where it goes really quick, but there's a lot of strategy involved in this, is you decide where you're gonna draft your dice from. Are you gonna draft from, you have two pools, so picture, these are two different pools. This pool right here is a skill pool, and I'm going to make another video on how that works, but you're going to choose to draft from the skill pool or your warfare dice. Warfare dice are pretty much exactly how Dungeon Crusade works with a modification, but these are dice that you use in battle to modify your rolls. So let's say, I just rolled my encounter dice and the minion die. Phase 2, drafting, dice drafting. Let's say I choose to draft from this pool, the warfare dice. I want to, increase Mahiliak's attributes for battle. Okay, so you're gonna draft 3 dice, if 3 dice are available. So up to 3 dice. Okay, so let's say I draft mythical. Let's say ranged. And let's say I'm going to go with spiritual. Okay, so I take 3 dice, take them, roll. You're going to draft 1 die to keep. Okay, let's say I decided to keep this. Mahiliak, I feel like he needs to increase his mythical warfare. I take that die, I put it on Mahiliak's player board. I'll show you how this works, but it's really easy. I can just explain it now, actually. What you're going to do is when you battle a minion, champion monster, guardian, in the beginning of the battle, or before you roll at any time before a battle. Actually, you can use it whenever. In an encounter, you can use it whenever you're rolling your warfare dice. What you do is you can go to any one of these dice, these warfare dice, and you can use them. So you can add, this would add 4 to Mahiliak's mythical rolls. But when you use them, they get depleted. So every time you use them, so this case you could add 4 to your mythical roll, and then instantly when you decide to use them, keep in mind you have to choose to use it before you roll. Okay, it's proactive. You cannot do it afterwards. You use this die, you increase your mythical warfare roll by 4, and then you deplete it down to 3. Okay, then the next time you have a battle or you're going to roll, it can be the same combat. It's the same monster that you're fighting. Now you only have 3. And when this die becomes, well, when this die is at 1 and you use it again, it actually is depleted, it goes back into the exhaust. It goes now into here, not available to draft, so it's exhausted. Okay? Really easy. It's not complicated at all. It just gives you a lot of decisions, because what die do you draft? What die is available? Are you going to use it? Okay, so let's go back a little bit. Let's say I rolled this. Let's say I had a bad roll and I really needed mythical. You can do this for any reason. I can draft any one of these dice, grab it and put it here, but I can modify this die. And how it works is I can increase it by 1 pip. So I can change this 2 to a 3, but I have to burn one of these dice. Now, you're not burning it for the whole game. You're just exhausting it, so you can't draft it. And I'll explain how it gets replenished. But let's say I really needed mythical and I got a bad roll. Let's say I really wanted it to be a 4. You can exhaust just 1 if you'd like to, but let's do it step by step. Let's say I don't want range, so I take one of these range dice, I exhaust it. That means I cannot draft that die until it's replenished. And this would go up to a 3. And let's say I'm like, well, you know what? I'm going to do it for this one too. So I exhaust that. That's not available to draft. And now that has moved up to a 4. Now I'm going to take this, put it on Mahiliak's hero card, and that's it. That's the whole drafting phase. And then the next phase, I'll do a video on, is basically Mahiliak moving, running around the board, fighting minion, you know, whatever. That's phase 3. So let's go back here. Let's say I went through phase 3, Mahiliac ran, fought a minion. Now I come back again, it's the beginning of my new turn. I come here, phase 1, roll your dice. See if an encounter card comes out, see if you're spawning a minion, see if a minion needs to move. We'll skip that right now just to come out. So once again, I have a choice. Skill pool. Am I going to draft 3 from here, or am I going to draft 3 from this pool? Oh, let's say I choose this. Now I have no option. Because I've exhausted these dice, I have no option. I only have 3. This is now your strategy is down at 0 because this is your own choice. So you roll here. Okay, let's say I wanted, I really need Arcane, which is, you know, it's Mahiliac's worst warfare skill. So let's say I needed this, so now I'm going to make a decision. Do I want to take this die and exhaust these 2 dice? Let's say I do. Let's say, yeah, okay. Let's say I exhaust Chaos. I increase this by 1. And you always, here's the kicker, you always have to put back, there always has to be 1 die that doesn't get drafted from the pool. So now I actually don't have a choice. So I'm going to take this, put it here. So the rules really are, you draft as many dice that are available, up to 3. You always have to there always has to have 1 die that doesn't get drafted. Okay, that's at the end. And then that's it, and all the dice come onto your hero board. Okay, let's say the turn goes on. Mahiliac moves, fights, whatever. I roll the encounter dice again. I come back here. Let's pretend, or let's say I was using these skill dice too. And let's say I exhausted all of them. Once again, you're always gonna have 1 of these dice left over. Whenever your turn starts and you only have 1 die left in each pool, you have no choices. You can't draft any of them. All the dice get replenished. Okay, but here's the kicker. Here's the strategic catch. The terror level goes up 1. So whenever you have to, and you can't replenish the dice pools. You can't choose to. You can't say, well, this isn't a choice. It's you draft until you have 1 die left in each pool, and you always have to return at least 1 die. This gives the player, this gives you strategy. Like, you have to think. You can't just burn these dice, use them. And I'm going to show you another thing that's I think it's pretty cool that I enjoy. So you increase the terror level by 1. Let's say it starts at 0. Let's say you increase the terror level by 1. You immediately take all the dice that are exhausted. Okay, so you take all these dice back. And now you notice you're short. You don't have a full pool of dice. You have the choice at this time. So you take all the dice that were used or exhausted. You can choose to take these dice from Mahiliac's player board and replenish them. Of course, you're going to lose them, but what happens is sometimes you'll have like this. And now you're going to say to yourself, well, is +1 worth it? Or should I send it back to the pool? So normally, if I saw this and it was early in the game or something, I would definitely do this unless I'm really desperate. So I would put this back here. And then here, I might leave this here and be like, well, you know, this will still give me a +2 and then a +1. That's not bad in a battle. And that's it. Terror level goes up. This is your new pool. So you replenish the pool, and then now you draft again, up to 3 dice. Because sometimes you end up with 2. So let's say this is my turn. I replenish the dice. I actually do draft the same turn when I replenish. So let's say I take the mythical, spiritual, ranged, roll. Wow, that's a really good roll. So this case, I most likely wouldn't burn any kind of this. And remember, now you can see why if you took something like this, the mythical, and you actually burnt these 2, you exhausted them. Now this turns into a 6 because I exhausted 2 dice and it was a 4, so it goes to a 5, then a 6. Now I'm looking really good. Look at this. Mahiliac's a 6, a +6. Now keep in mind, he's going to be a +6, for 1 mythical roll, and then a +5 because that gets depleted, then +4, then +3. So there's a lot of, but look what I just did. There's less dice to draft coming up. Okay, so I'd be alternating because the skill dice are super powerful, but I'd be alternating. But look what's happening. Because I did this, and because I'm looking now that I got a 6 here, my next turn, let's kind of jump forward again. Mahiliac phase 3 moves around, does something, encounter dice, roll again. Now you're back to here. Assuming I'm not drafting from the skill dice, this is going to go back and forth. And the turns in this variant, Chronicles, is super fast, and I'm going to do some gameplay, but it's really, really quick, and very strategic. It turns into like a very, almost like you're playing like a Euro dungeon game. Anyway, so let's say the turn comes back now. So up to 2 dice. If I need warfare dice, I'm gonna draft these 2. Okay. So look at this. I have really almost no decision now. It's literally chaos or physical, and I can't modify my dice because I exhausted these dice. I have some on my player board. Here's the strategy. You wanna have as many choices in this game as possible, because everybody knows when you're rolling and you're fighting a champion 4 or a champion 3 monster, you're kind of like, that's when you really want your stuff available. Okay, so let's say I take the chaos die, put it on my thing. This is what my board looks like now. My Helios are really pumped now. I cannot do anything with this. It's the last die. That one die always has to get undrafted and back in the pool. Okay, and then let's say I move the Mahiliac. Let's say, fast forward. Let's say I drafted a bunch of dice. So probably, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turns later, I come back, roll the encounter dice again, come back in here. I have note, if you ever have 1 die left in your skill pool, 1 die left in your, if you have, let's say this, if this came up and you have 1 die available here and 3 dice here, you have no choice. You have to roll your skill dice. You draft, let's say, 1 of them. This one gets done, and then Mahiliac has his turn. He moves and fights. Encounter phase comes back up. You roll these dice. You have 1 here. I have no choice. I have to come back here. Roll. Boom. Let's say I rolled this. Let's say, and I'm going to explain what these dice do, but I'm just trying to speed it up and show you one part of the game. Let's say I took the life force die. I go here. I put 1 die back. That does not get replenished until the next turn. Now I come back here to phase 3. Mahiliac rolls. He moves. Does what he's going to do. Phase 1 again. Encounter dice, minion dice. Boom. The beginning of my turn to draft. Here it is. That's what does it right here. 1 die available, 1 die available. 1 die is available on either one of these. I have no choice. Instantly, terror level goes up 1. I replenish all dice. All dice that are exhausted. This is like, an imaginary exhausted pool. This is the exhausted pool for the warfare dice, because I really like using those tokens. I just think it's thematic and it's easier. Okay, and then my choice is to go to my player board and decide which ones I want to put back in the pool. And remember, if the least amount of dice that you have in your pool to draft, the quicker it's going to be exhausted and the quicker it's going to get replenished. And when it's replenished, the terror level goes up 1. This is another type, not another type, but this is another timer of the game to speed this game up. This game is super quick. I'm playing these games in 60 minutes, if that, without setup. Setup probably, 5-10 minutes, 15, whatever. But yeah, you're about an hour 15 tops. Hour and a half if I'm really just relaxing. Okay, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to make another video on the skill dice, explain what they do. If you want to see more videos on the warfare dice, I can make them. I think that's pretty explanatory. Thanks for watching.